Hello, this is Gina Lazenby. Welcome to my video blog and welcome to my healthy home, where I am today with Jane Noble Knight. Welcome, Jane.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure to come here.
You're welcome, and thank you for trekking. I'm in the remote hills, so it's great that you came. And we're talking about Jane's new book, which is The Inspiring Journeys of Women Entrepreneurs, subheading Exploring New Ways of Business That Answer Your Calling. All of that is loaded with wonderful new ways of doing business, answering a calling, and that's increasingly what women are doing, taking the inspiring journey. And I'm so grateful to be featured in the book. I'm one of the women entrepreneurs that you've written about, and I've been reading the stories of the other women, and they're fantastic. Now, you call yourself the Pilgrim Mother. So tell me, because that was the inspiration for this book, wasn't it? Tell me about the Pilgrim Mothers, because that caught my attention when you first talked about this.
Well, I'd heard of the Pilgrim Fathers, but I discovered there were Pilgrim Mothers as well.
It's obvious, really,
it's
isn't
obvious
it?
that, if there's a settlement going from Europe to America, it's not just men going over.
No.
There were whole families. And whatever the men were doing, the women were doing, but with their children and caring for everybody as well. And yet they're not recognised.
No.
So they went over, free speech, independence, following their calling.
Yeah.
It was something that they had to do. But they did it keeping their families together and supporting and building a community, which is a very feminine thing to do, but it's very pioneering as well. So, these women went on to own property, and so they were really at the forefront of modern women.
Wow. And yet we don't know about them.
No.
It's interesting how, women can get written out of the headlines. And I was reading the book, I was reading in the paper about Danny Boyle's biography or autobiography, and his inspiration for the opening ceremony for the Olympics 2012, which was phenomenal. I watched it in America and I felt so proud to be British. I thought it was fantastic. And he said his inspiration was when he was at the Houses of Parliament, he came across a broom cupboard where there was a statue of Emily Davison, one of the suffragettes, and it was on display, and it got him thinking about the unsung heroes and heroines and the hidden stories, which is what you've been unearthing here. And look what he told, the story of Britain and all the things that we forget about. And I thought, that's it, there are so many women who are written out of history.
Yes.
And it's great that you've brought up that conversation, because the idea of being a pilgrim and creating a new world, that's exactly what women need to do now, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And we can co-create it. It's up to us. We make our own rules, our own world, our own ways of doing things, and we can follow our calling, our hearts. So for me, it's not about compromise. It's about what makes your heart sing, and follow it, and doing something that you feel passionate about, and just seeing what unfolds, really.
Well, you've interviewed, myself included, these 9 women in here. Each chapter is about their not their business, but their personal stories, and the things they've been through to make them who they are now. The dark days and the dark nights.
Yes.
The secrets that have been shared.
Yes.
So what did you find inspiring yourself in there, that what you learned about the women that you spoke to?
I was inspired by so many things, but their honesty. These women need not have shared so openly things like the dark days, but the women did, and there's this vulnerability that comes out. I think all too often you get biographies and autobiographies that are written to create a false impression almost of a celebrity. What was really touching to me was the honesty that was shown by all the women in the book, and the very definite message that if I can do this, so can everyone. I just did this, and this is my story, and it's for everyone to write their own story with what inspires them. That was hugely moving for me.
And to do things in a different way, in a feminine way. Some of these women have always had their own businesses, others have been maybe in corporate life and left. And that is the story of women entrepreneurs now, increasingly leaving corporate structures that don't serve the men either, and move into something that they create themselves, they've got more autonomy, where they can be authentic.
Yes.
And show up differently and do business differently. What are the key things that you see that women do differently to men, or when they're in an environment where it is more masculine, they're not within their control? What do you see them do differently?
Well, do you mean what women bring
What
to
quality-
the table? What
yeah,
qualities?
what qualities they're
Women,
bringing.
if they allow themselves, have fantastic intuition, and if you follow your intuition, then you can get this guidance to your calling. I think also women are good at slowing down and creating a space to allow things to happen. So are less driven. I would say on the whole women have less ego and competition. The flip side of that is they sometimes don't put themselves forward or speak out as much as maybe they could, but women are very much into collaboration and cooperation, building communities. Women love to nurture and support others. Women like to give birth and leave legacies and leave the world a better place. And women like a sense of peace and belonging and not being in conflict with others. So if you get
Harmony.
women together, harmony and balance and help and support and doing something together and creating something for the greater good, that's really what women love to do, I think.
And we like to enjoy ourselves, don't we?
do.
We like to have fun. That's why not.
Yes, yes.
We have to work hard. I say, you see, fall into the trap of saying we have to work hard. We don't have to work hard. I think that's the old way of doing things, certainly the way I knew how to do it.
Yes.
And with all these qualities that you talked about of allowing and working together and collaborating, it's much easier to not work hard and yet achieve.
You hear a lot of laughter in women's gatherings when
Yes.
women come together to do something, whatever it is, like within your kitchen,
Yes.
to prepare something. Women love giving and looking after people. And there's a lot of willingness to learn and show me how to do
Openness,
this.
yes.
Not having to be the expert in something, but saying, oh, I'd love to be able to do that. Show me how to do that. Oh, that's interesting. How do you do that? So it's a lovely space of sharing, and there's a lot of laughter and
There is.
music and singing and whatever.
I was reading a report recently about the difference between masculine humour between men and women in boardrooms, and it was a report that was done because they'd eavesdropped and filmed boardroom conversations, and so much the men poke fun at each other and ridicule each other and have a go at each other. They have these jokes, and then the meeting starts, the humour stops, and then the meeting starts. Well, women, where the laughter is where all the women are. And they're laughing not at each other, but at themselves and at life. And what they said that men didn't understand about women's humour was there's no punchline. So we keep on we keep bringing the theme back, and we maybe have started the board meeting or the meeting, and then the humour threads through, and the men don't get it because there is no punchline, but the joke's ongoing.
Yes.
As we enjoy ourselves,
We do.
and that's important.
Absolutely.
I think it's so important because I think there's a lot of brain research to show that when you're enjoying yourself, when you're in a space of joy and you're relaxed, your brain is different and you're more creative.
Yes, and you bring more joy into your life because everything's such a pleasure that life becomes much easier.
Yeah. We have to enjoy everything we do.
We do.
So I know you worked hard and joyously.
Yes, yes.
Creating this book.
Yes, yes. I have had my digging in the trenches moments.
And you've done 2 of the books. So
Yes.
this is a great book. I've so enjoyed reading the stories of the other women and some of them I know. So it's interesting to hear how they have become who they've become. It is fascinating getting that inside. And I know you've interviewed other women for other books, so I'm looking forward to reading those. So you can find this book on Amazon. The link will be on the blog. And I think you started something great here with this aspect of looking at modern pilgrim mothers. I think it's very inspiring for women.
I think
and
the
men.
other thing is that there are so few business books about women or written by women. It's a tiny proportion. I had somebody who I met at a networking meeting, and she'd been in Waterstones in Manchester, and she was so taken by the fact there were no women in the business books that she'd actually taken a photo. And then like 2 days later we'd met and I said, oh well, actually I've written a book. But it is unusual that it's written by a woman, about women, and let's be honest, largely for women, although there are men who are enjoying it and getting a lot out of it.
There are men more open to that.
Yes.
And I mean, nothing isn't just because it's all about women and only women, it's not in any way anti-men.
No.
I mean, we all, love our male companions and partners, but we are looking to work with men in a different way, to bring our way of doing things, and be heard in a different way and speak differently. And that's the path we're all on. Finding that new way of doing it, and I think this is helpful for so many women. So really well done for doing the book.
Thank you.
And I know it's already been a bestseller on Amazon in the business section, hasn't it?
It has, yeah.
Oh.
Business and finance and entrepreneurship, so yes.
Great. Well, thank you, Jane. Lovely conversation, and good luck with the rest of it.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us today. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.